Hi everybody, meet Pa and Jose. Follow along to see how Pa and Jose use the historical inquiry process to learn about the past. Inquiry is an exciting way to learn about people and the things they have done over time. How can students use historical inquiry to draw conclusions about the past? The inquiry process has 4 steps to guide us when investigating topics in history. Ask, think critically, draw conclusions, and communicate findings. During this process, you will need to be able to analyze different sources, such as photos and artifacts. You also need to compare and contrast things. For example, 2 different accounts or stories of an event. Let's see how Ms. Adams guided Pa and Jose as they investigated the past using these historical skills.
When we study history, we learn information from sources. What are some sources that can help us learn about the past?
A person. My grandma tells me stories about her life.
A book. I like to read about the Aztecs.
Yes, those are sources. Here is a list of some others: photographs, oral histories, diaries or journals, and artifacts. You need to analyze different kinds of sources to learn about the past.
Now that Pa and Jose know these sources, they need to practice comparing and contrasting different viewpoints.
When we study history, accounts are descriptions of events or people. They are stories about the past. What is a recent event that happened on the playground during recess?
We had an argument about whether or not Jose was out during our kickball game.
I thought that I was safe and had a home run.
Other students thought you were hit with the ball before you touched home plate.
It sounds like this event had different accounts as to what happened. This would be a good time to think like historians. Some other questions to ask are: when did it happen? Who was involved? How and why did it happen?
This is an exciting journey. Our students have practiced some historical skills and now they are ready to use the inquiry process to look at sources and investigate playgrounds. Historical inquiry involves examining a variety of sources, interpreting findings, and using evidence to draw conclusions that address the question. First, you need an inquiry question.
The inquiry question we are investigating is: what were playgrounds like 100 years ago?
Pa and Jose need to choose the best sources for their inquiry question.
What about this photo from Harriet Island in St. Paul from 1905?
Good choice. After finding a few more sources, what's next?
Asking the question, what do my sources tell me?
I will write down observations from the sources.
That's right. What do you see?
Kids played outside on playgrounds just like we do today.
It's just a bunch of wooden ropes.
Class, now that you have gathered evidence from your sources, you are ready to decide what that means. In other words, draw a conclusion.
The playgrounds were not as fun as today's playgrounds.
I don't think I would feel safe on that playground.
Using sources to draw conclusions is an important historical skill. But this is not the last step of the inquiry process.
When using inquiry in history, it is important to communicate what you have learned with others.
Now that you have come to a conclusion about our question, we will share our findings with others. We will be going to a first grade classroom tomorrow, and you will describe what playgrounds were like 100 years ago.
Now that you know the inquiry process, you can apply what you learned to another question about the past. What will your question be?
Created using Powtoon.